The ancient regime, or old order, was a system where there were three estates: clergy, who took up 0.5% of the population, nobles, who were 1.5% of the population, and the common man, 98% of the population. The third estate resented the first and the second. This social inequality, as well as economic issues, began the revolution. The third estate was starving after continuous economic decline and bad harvest in France. Deficient spending done by Louis XIV with wars like the 7 Years' War and the American Revolution left France deeply in debt. The third estate was helpless. Continued anger and frustration, as well as ideas from enlightened thinkers, left the third estate demanding change. After repeated pressure for change, Louis called the Estates General after 175 years. This meeting had the Third Estate show their insistence for reform through cahiers, or notebooks in French. These cahiers stated their grievances. However, even after this, the Third, First, and Second Estate go into deadlock over voting. On June 13, 1789, the members of the Third Estate form a new, more revolutionary assembly, called the National Assembly. At first, Louis refused to acknowledge the National Assembly, until nobles and clergy members joined them, and they made their famous tennis court oath.
We will never separate and will meet until a just and sound constitution is made.
Let's go down to the tennis court and talk it up like yeah.
On July 14, 1789, revolution started heating up. Over 800 Paris residents decided to storm a political prison. They demanded weaponry, gunpowder, and the freedom of the prisoners. The storming of the Bastille is often remarked as the beginning of the French Revolution. On August 4, 1789, the nobles and the National Assembly go into a meeting. After many hours, they emerge, exhausted, at 2 a.m. The nobles agreed to end their privileges of hunting, their legal status, and not having to pay taxes. In late August 1789, the Declaration of Rights of Man and Citizen is signed. This document helped establish the natural rights of all people in France. The drafts were prepared by French aristocrat Lafayette and helped by his close friend Thomas Jefferson. The public is not receiving what they want from Louis XVI and Marie Antoinette. On October 4th, 1789, women marched to Versailles from Paris, demanding to see the king and shouting, "Bread!" Their anger was directed towards the queen. They eventually force the royal family to go to Paris, where they are treated like prisoners for 3 years. In 1791, the Constitution of 1791 is issued to make the monarchy limited and to make a legislative assembly. This is after the civil constitution of the clergy in 1790, which ended the papal authority and put the church under state control. Both of these documents help bring power to the people and away from the church and the monarchy. After virtually being held prisoner in Paris, the king and the queen try to escape. Disguised as peasants, the royal family tries to escape Paris and almost reach the border when a passerby recognizes Louis by a piece of currency. They are caught. In the August of 1791, the King of Prussia and the Emperor of Austria issued the Declaration of Pillnitz. This document threatened to intervene in France to protect the monarchy. The French took this as a threat. After many riots break out, the National Convention begins in September 1792. This group is more radical than the Legislative Assembly and the National Assembly. The National Convention votes to end monarchy. They are run by the Jacobins, a group of radical people that believe in moving forward in the revolution. In 1791 through 1793, Paris changes drastically. The Jacobins hope to remove all traces of old order, and they want to make a new France. In January 1793, Louis XVI, and in October 1793, Marie Antoinette are both executed after being convicted of treason. The Reign of Terror, lasting from 1793 to 1794, left 40,000 dead in the chaos. This chaos was run mostly by Robespierre, a Jacobin leader. Robespierre believed the only way to get France to where it needed to be was by killing people. By his enemies, Robespierre was called a tyrant. On April 6, 1793, the Committee of Public Safety was created. This 12-member committee was made to deal with threats, both internal and external. The main leader of this committee was Robespierre. Through this committee, Robespierre basically controlled France. Along with reinstating censorship, Robespierre also de-Christianized France. In the Jacobins' efforts to cleanse France of all old order, they started viewing Christianity as counter-revolutionary. However, on July 28, 1794, the chaos that Robespierre condoned swallowed him whole. In 1795, another constitution, the Constitution of 1795, is made, as well as a 5-man directory and a 2-house legislative. This lasts until 1799. It was passed on August 22, 1795, and ratified by the National Convention. Out of the mayhem rises a military hero that will soon bring the whole revolution in a full circle.